Hello and welcome to the dark infinite void. And that is exactly what this driving video is all about today. It's all about the infinite void, my experiences of it, including doing soul fragment retrievals from the infinite void. Now I will show you light. It was lost on me, I must admit, for the first few minutes of setting up my video camera. It's like, why is the universe making the video so dark? It's like, oh yeah, this video's on the infinite void. So there we go. I'm driving, I'm heading down south. Let me flip you around so you can get some light. I'm driving down to the northeast of England. It's about 50 minutes to an hour's drive, which would be about the same length of this video probably, or up to. And I've saved you the pain of listening to my GPS by putting it into my ear with my little earphone. Just know that I might also be stopping sometimes and just listening, or stopping and just concentrating on driving, because I don't really do anything for you guys other than just talk while I drive. Alright, so a little bit of context. I have just recently done some videos. One was on negative entities and exorcisms, and just over the weekend I did a video on, it was Friday I think, I did a video on, or was it Saturday? Not sure. And that focus of that video was all about soul fragments going to hell and retrieving them. So if you're more interested in those videos, just take a look back through my my YouTube channel and you'll see those videos. Thank you for all your lovely, kind comments of support about that video. And over the weekend, our dog, Patch the Papillon is 14. That was his birthday yesterday, so thank you. I don't know how many comments I responded to thank you all. Well, I responded to them all. It was a lot, maybe 50 of you, at a guess. So before we go into a bit more about the infinite void, just in case, logically, I don't feel there's a huge risk in this discussion. However, it's better to be safe, to be sure. So what I will do is just go ahead and quickly create a safe space for us, and that way we know we're safe for sure, rather than not being sure. So just take a moment if you'd like to join me. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. I know I'm keeping my eyes open while I drive doing this, by the way. Out through the mouth, nice and loud. In through the nose. Breathing out any fear, shame, anxiety or pain, nice and loud. And breathe in through the nose. Breathing out any remaining low vibration energy or emotion that no longer serves you, nice and loud. And continue to breathe as it feels right for you. And focus your attention now in the very center of your heart, where your golden divine spark, your beautiful soul, enters your human form. And from the center of your heart, extend a cord of light up through the top of your head, all the way up into the sky and into the stars, all the way up until you reach the highest dimension of the source of love of this universe. And there, connecting your light cord to the highest dimension of source, feeling into that oneness, unity, and unconditional love. Remain connected into source and extend your light cord down through the stars and sky, back down to the top of your head and into your heart once more. And now from the center of your heart, extend a cord of light down through the base of your spine and deep into the earth, all the way down through the layers of the planet until you reach the very core of Mother Earth. And there, connecting your light cord into Mother Gaia's crystalline heart. And we send Mother Gaia so much love at this time. Allow her to send her love back. Remain connected into Gaia's heart and extend your light cord all the way up through the layers of the planet, up through the root of your spine and into your heart once more. And now, together with the light of Source above, Mother Gaia below in your own light, expand out a golden bubble of protective light to surround you, about 2 meters out to each side, above and below, in front and behind you. And set the intention that only energies and entities with your permission, your highest good love and compassion can see you, access you, or exist within this space or within you, and that all other energies and entities must leave immediately into your safe space. Invite in your spirit guides, your higher self, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Source and Gaia, and ask for their guidance, clearing, healing, protection, and assistance with integration of today's messages. And through space and time, I create a golden protective bubble around all of us who are connecting with this video across space and time. And I set the intention for this protective bubble of source love energy, that only energies and entities with my permission and the highest good love and compassion of all can see us, access us, or exist within this space or within us, and that all other energies and entities must leave immediately. Inviting in my spirit guides, my higher self, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Source and Gaia. And I'd also like to invite in Sol, the soul of Sun, and Luna, the soul of the Moon. And with that, I would like to get started. And setting the intention to share experiences of and any messages that are gently downloaded to me as we drive in a safe physical and psychically safe manner. Okay, so perhaps let's start with my experiences of the infinite void. So, first of all, I don't Google this stuff, right? All the stuff I'm teaching you is from my own experiences, and if you want to Google stuff, and it's funny because I was interested in some people use this term void magic, and I was like, that made me wonder. I wonder what void magic is, because the void is not a very pleasant place. So that I found that fascinating, and I was tempted to Google it, and I was like, no, I don't want to receive other people's opinions about this. I just want to share my own. So this is not to brag and say, oh, look at me, Jon Binnie, I am just so amazing, I know everything, look at all the stuff I know. No, it's more that if you want to, really it's to encourage you to explore your own truths, just as I do. And there's nothing wrong with Googling stuff, right? It's just know that in the act of doing so, it does influence you, right? Rightly or wrongly. And it might even be true, who knows? So the void. Some of my first experiences with the void were during soul fragment retrievals. so part of someone's soul, or even we would be directed in a sort of one-to-one client session in one of my quantum psychic healing sessions. We'd be guided to really experience a past life, an incarnation. So I don't know if that came through in the previous video about soul fragments. There's not a limitation to soul fragments. There's no constriction to the definition of the fragment of someone's soul, because it is consciousness, right? So if you consciousness and love. my spirit guide Maya is saying, like a song, consciousness and love. Wonderful. And when we visit that space, so I'd be guided by my client's guide after doing an introduction, finding out who they are, what their name is, where they're from. We would be directed to a fragment, and in my personal experience so far, the fragment has always had an incarnation of it, so it's always been, it feels a little bit like visiting a past life. Now, just keeping in mind, I use the term past life a little bit confusingly as an overarching term for past, parallel, present, and future. Okay, so let's just say it's a past life. And I remember one of the first times I went there, I describe it as similar to the soul retrieval practice, where not always, I'll access, you can go to hell and back in lots of different ways. You can access it through the Akashic Records, through portals, and through the waiting room approach that I take as well. And I remember with my first client stepping through the lowest vibration door, and it didn't, instead of us taking it, because it can go anywhere, right? It's just wherever the lowest vibration of an incarnation of the client exists across space and time. And same with the portal, I've accessed the void in through portals as well. You just set a clear intention. You're just saying, I want to visit the fragment of or past life of my client in their lowest vibration. And I would never project onto someone and say, oh, you have a soul fragment in the infinite void. Let's go to the infinite void. Always trying to be led and guided by the client's spirit guides and the Archangels and my guides, and not just, well, you booked a soul retrieval session, so let's find something to retrieve. Let's not just do things for the sake of it. And you can see it's a dark morning. We're now just passing 8 a.m. I thought it was going to be colder. It was really cold. It was about 0 degrees Celsius last night, so freezing last night. Now it's a nice warm toasty 7 degrees, which is great news, because I'll be losing the motorhome for a little while whilst it goes into the garage to get some recalls fixed. Anywho, I remember the first time I went to the Infinite Void, it was a bit of a shock, because it's quite hard to, well, you can explain it in words, right? And now that we're 14 minutes in, it feels like a good time, more than any, to explain it in words, and then start expressing some of the feelings. So as it was first introduced to me, the void is a universe of one. So imagine a universe about the same size as ours, right? It's really big. As far as you're concerned, it's pretty much infinite in size. And slowing down for some roadworks. It's pretty much infinite in size, and there's only you there. So you can imagine this would feel lonely, right? And it exists kind of out of this universe, almost like this kind of, I keep seeing it in my third eye as being like a sidestep, a sidestep out of any, accessible from any vibration and any dimension. You can go into the void and it's just this seemingly infinite empty space. Why would soul fragments go there? A whole broad range of reasons that I've experienced in client sessions. Some of the first were quite similar themes, like a self kind of punishment. There's similar themes to souls going to hell. And in the difference in the void is there's no other experience other than you, right? There's just you. And you can imagine what that does very quickly. And so to a consciousness. And so I've seen through lots of different client sessions and visits to the void, including some of my own personal experiences, souls will go there to hide from others, to hide a superpower from other beings. Some will go there as a form of self-torture and torment, and or to pay back karmic debt, and the latter two linked to some traumatic events that they've been part of in a past life. And sometimes to visit it almost in ritual, to go to the infinite void as a form of cleansing, of self-reflection, of inner perception, inner work, shadow work, refinding the light within you. So what does it feel like when you're there? It's horrible, right? It is the most humbling experience to be the only being in a universe. And it's completely pitch black, right? There's nothing there. And I remember recently watching a James Webb Telescope, YouTube video, and they're saying that they found some areas of space that they call the void. They're just these giant empty spaces. And just before you kind of get, your mind gets caught up in, is it really its own universe? Is it really its own dimension? Does it really exist out with time? Like, my feelings are yes to all of those. What I would add is that as long as it feels like all those things to the individual, then their truth, like the truth is in the heart and the experience of the experiencer, right? So if you feel when you're in the infinite void that it is a universe of just you, well, what's the difference, right? So I'm not trying to belittle it in any way, or to kind of brush over the facts, or to somehow dim the lights on really valid questions, right? Because they are really valid questions. And just saying that, imagine you were in a void in space where you could see no light from any other galaxy or any other star. You weren't on a planet, you're drifting in just this empty open space. Somehow you can breathe, somehow you can still exist, and your existence seems to just go on for eternity. So, and it just feels like you're alone, like you've never felt so alone in your life. So that all feels very, very real to those that experience it. And those feelings, I'm not here to pull down your vibration or scare you or give you any fear, addiction, because it's always, in my experience, it's always the soul that chooses this, right? And it seems that when you're there in the void, some of the first reactions that I've seen in clients is just this deep, dark depression. You know, the depths of which they've never experienced in any incarnation. Because it's like, that's just that beeping sound is a motor complaint. There's no water in the water tank, which is good. You just can't turn that off, to my knowledge. So yeah, it's just really powerful to, first of all, accept that it's a traumatic experience going to the void. And even the most seasoned of masters and gurus and ascended masters and angels, if you ever wonder why you often feel so alone on Earth, it's because we miss the feeling, our souls miss and hunger for the feeling of unity that we've had with others, the unity connection between our hearts that we've had with others. And the closest we get is this kind of separatedness yet still togetherness as loved ones that we have in this life, typically. And so when we're in the infinite void, it is this stark, humbling experience of there are no other beings. There's no other. If they do exist, they're not here. And then it feels like, what is it called? Some people call it like is it the grieving, or the emotional cycle through change. You can, that cycle that says, or curve that says, to begin with you feel shock, and then anger, and then you kind of throw yourself into this deep depression, and that can be crippling, and it can feel like that just goes on for eternity. And there's definitely that similar feeling with hell, is that when a soul is in the void, that they feel like they're there for eternity. And in my experiences of being in the void, it feels like you're kind of floating in space, in the air, but there's no light, so you can't see where you are. You can swim in the air if you like, or swim in space as much as you want, flail your limbs around, nothing happens. And then in that deep dark depression, you're also faced with yourself, because when you think about it, when what's happened is the outside of reality has now completely disappeared. There's nothing else outside, just you, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your shadows, your fears, your dreams, everything all at once. And they become so loud, because there's no outside stimulus to distract you or to quieten what's going on inside. You can't binge eat or binge watch Netflix or go for a walk in nature. Like, you're just out in this infinite void. And so you're left with what feels like a very powerful form of life review. Oh, now I need to really, all I can do is face what's going on inside of me, and perhaps, invest in some exercises, some mental exercises, and that would help me keep my mind, like, from not completely losing my sanity. So you could be there, your perception of time, because there is no time. There's no, when there's nothing outside of you, right? There's no linear time, and you seem impossibly able to self-sustain. And I feel a lot of that's because even though you may experience a physical body in the void, it's really just your consciousness that's there. It's not, I don't feel like your body goes there. Like, I don't say to someone, oh, look at my skin, I've just spent 3 months in the infinite void, and look how beautiful my skin is now. I don't know what accent or that, I don't know what that's meant to be. And then there's this feeling, because you might be wondering, well, how'd you get out of the infinite void? There's this feeling that, well, maybe there's a way out of this situation. Maybe there's something, I don't know, like a key within myself, because nothing outside of me. I can scream and shout my ass off, and nothing helpful happens. I can try and talk to my spirit guides, I can scream at Source or my God or whatever there is, and nothing happens. Maybe the answer is inside. And so you start hunting inside for what it is that you're looking for to help you get out of this void. And I'm just getting really lovely tingles as I describe this. What I then find is, and I can describe the steps of the experiences. I can't fully explain all of them, right? I can't, well, not by myself, not without channeling some of my guides. So just asking my guide Maya if she'd like to help inspire me, fill in some of the questions that I'm sure everyone will have as I go through the escaping the infinite void. Maybe that's a good title for the video. How I escaped the infinite void. So the key to leaving the infinite void is your own self-love. And what seems to happen is that in the infinite void, when you start looking into your heart and feeling into your self-love, maybe you and your soul are going through the throes of playing back, many of the challenging experiences that you had earlier in that lifetime, and maybe the regrets you've had, the things that you've done to others that you regret. And then you're gradually finding a way to say to yourself, you know what, I forgive you. I'm sorry we did that. I'm sorry that others suffered. And I'd like to thank you. And I'm ready to love you, to love that part of you, and to learn from that experience and to release that experience. And the more you start to work through this cycle of what is effectively shadow work and cultivating your self-love, then you also start to see a star appear, a light appear in the void. And fascinatingly, it's not an external light. What it is a reflection of your own self-love inside of you. And the more work you do on your heart, And your shadows and your fears, the more you face them, the brighter that light becomes, and you become quite obsessed with it, right? It's the only light in the whole universe around you. And it starts to cast a light on you. Like, you can start to see your physical form again. And you can see, oh, this lorry's stopping. I wonder if it's stopping for, there's a beautiful view along here. Or maybe it's stopping for a wee, I don't know. I have no idea. Beautiful view. You can see right out across the North Sea here. And the more that light becomes stronger as a result of your inner work, this light, this star in the infinite void becomes very attractive to want to get close to talk to connect with. And as you do, you realize that it is a reflection of your own heart, of your own self-love. And I'm just getting those beautiful tingles again. And it is the most even more humbling than the humbling experience you had when you first went into the void and really were left with just your shadows. Now you're being rescued by your love, your own self-love, nothing else, right? Just you. And then as your light appears, this star, as you go closer and closer towards it, eventually you get so close to it that you embrace it and you pull. I've seen clients experience it in different ways. Some actually enter this star of their self-love. Others pull it into their hearts. I guess the result either way is the same, right? And I just feel so powerful and beautiful that they're stepping into their self-love. They're rescuing themselves from the self-love, and as they do, they step back through a portal and leave the void. Woohoo! You left the void. So they leave the void, and they then go back to their lifetime, wherever it was from when they entered the void. And if that lifetime had ended, well, they now get to go on and reincarnate. If that lifetime was still alive, they get to go back into that. It's almost like time paused. They go back into that moment, and then they continue on their journey. And yeah, so let's just rejoice that, right? And say, top tip, if you ever find yourself in the infinite void, then you now know consciously at least the steps you need to go through. I'm not saying it's going to make it any easier. One of the good things, one of the most hugely powerful aspects, the wisdom will teach you of, or the knowledge will teach you of being able to leave the infinite void, is to know that that's possible, first of all, because it won't feel like that when you're first there. And then secondly, that you need to face your fears, begin shining a light of your own love on yourself, and then eventually that will appear as a star in your night sky, the only star. There's only you and that light in the infinite void. Excuse me. I felt like I had a frog in my throat. Ribbit. Okay, we're turning right here, so we're just coming up to Berwick-upon-Tweed. And I love there's a Starbucks down here now. Oh, it all feels so... Even the weather, it feels like being back in Seattle. How long ago it is now? Is it 2 years since I was back in Seattle? Well, it'll be 2 years in April since I was in Washington, D.C. Douglas Flanagan, shellfish. I can just imagine people making jokes of them, saying, "Oh, you're so shellfish." It sounds like a Sean Connery joke. Okay, so that's the infinite void explained, or at least some experiences of it. I do feel, out of all of the different, phenomena, experiences, wonders of this universe, out of all of them, the void is very much a unique experience. I don't know that it really, I'm not sure, even though I spent over an hour and a half, was it, describing hell. Each level in hell is created by the consciousness of the beings there. And I feel that that's actually true for all dimensions, that a dimension doesn't actually exist until at least one consciousness enters it, which is remarkable, right? The void is the same. And the difference, or what's unique to the void, is that it doesn't exist at all. Like at least hell would have some other levels because some other beings were there, even if it was missing a few levels because they didn't have any beings in there right now. With the void, it is literally, well, it's nothing, right? But also, its experience is experienced by you. So it doesn't, I don't feel it doesn't exist for you until you go there and you create that unique experience. Because someone asked, and I love your questions, thank you, especially on my website because I don't forget those. There's a question about, does hell exist? And I feel that the question was perhaps more focused on, does it physically exist? And I would say yes, it does. As much as the third dimension, physically exists. The third dimension is created by consciousness and love energy that makes matter vibrate. So it makes atoms, well, it creates them in the first place and then makes them vibrate at different frequencies and creates matter. It's all energy first. And so it's the same with the void, although ironically the void, there's nothing actually there, right? So you can also, I guess it's also completely valid to say it doesn't exist because, or at least doesn't exist until you go there. So some of my experiences, and I was asking my spirit guides this morning about it, saying, like, because it does not feel unfamiliar to me when I visit. We're now off the main A1, so that road that we just drove on, that was the main road from Edinburgh, capital of Scotland, to London, the A1, even though it's a single track single lane. We're now off into the country roads heading west. I feel like we're kind of bouncing along near the Scottish border, the Scottish and English border. We're on the English side now. And as you can tell, we have strict border control, which is basically just a sign that says, welcome. So, yeah, my experiences, it feels like I've had a few. There was, one of the most recent was, this is a few thousand years ago. It's over 5,000 years ago. So I'm not, my spirit guide Maya is telling me there's, there's more for me to understand, other lifetimes for me to discover. I had lifetimes aboard the Galactic Federation, what is now the Galactic Federation ship Athena. She started out her days as you could describe it as in service to the darkness. And I was a dark being. I don't just mean in appearance. My actions were low vibration in that lifetime. And I spent a lot of time using my psychic abilities to see across space and time, and I was hunting beings on behalf of working with other low vibration beings. So it wasn't like a demon. I actually seemed to be a bit of a hybrid of some earth and galactic beings, and some extra rattling behind me. I don't really know what it is. This is so noisy along here. I'd had a really rough lifetime, right? If you want me to give you a video on that lifetime, more than happy to. You know me, I'm very transparent. But the relevance of the void, let's just say I did a lot of bad stuff to a lot of beings in that lifetime, and I felt enslaved and forced to do that work. Yet, I wasn't all rainbows and unicorns myself. And it felt like some of it was connected to some karma, which I'm not really sure what that was about. Like why I'd accrued that karma. So that could be something for me to look into. Anyway, there's always inner work to do, John. There's always inner work to do. And what I experienced was after that lifetime, because after that lifetime there was a much happier lifetime, and it was also aboard the Galactic Federation ship Athena, and Athena herself had been gone through her own awakening, and so had now become very light and in service to light, it's in service to others, if you like. So I, after my deep dark lifetime on Athena, I went to the void, and it feels like it was an opportunity for great, in part self-punishment. Oh, I'm such a bad soul, look at the things I've done to others, oh woe is me, I'm gonna do something terrible to myself, and I chose to go to the infinite void. And when I went to the infinite void, it was a grim experience, right? There was this feeling that I knew what I know now. That kind of makes sense, right? Because I feel like we always have some tinglings, inklings of what every aspect of our incarnations, past, present, parallel, and future, we'll have a little tingling at very least of each other's knowledge. So it's like, yeah, there's some way of getting out of this place. It might make it psychologically a little bit easier. I don't really think it makes the pain of facing your shadows and inner fears any easier. So that was one of my experiences, and yeah, there was a lot of deep inner work and inner reflection, shadow work, facing fears, and it took a long time to cultivate self-love. In fact, that same lifetime that I just spoke of, quite early on, after my awakening eight years ago, so in November 2017, in my first meditations I think it started to happen within 2 or 3 months, I was always meditating in front of a mirror. And I remember that lifetime kept coming through to me. Visually, I could see them in my third eye. You know, the mirror reflection would change, and I would see that, not the prettiest of faces, but I was learning to begin to face and heal really quite dark aspects of myself. And there was either it was that one, a very similar lifetime. Felt like it took me on and off about 2 years of every time, you know, most days seeing that reflection in the mirror to eventually begin to love that part of myself. And that very much feels like a reflection of that part of me being in the void. In other words, when you begin to cultivate your self-love, the love energy is so powerful. So imagine the shame, which is a very weak and low vibration emotion, and very isolating, that is unique. You know, it's almost like uniquely experienced for each of your past, parallel, present, and future incarnations. Yet love, self-love, is so strong and so beautiful and powerful that it bleeds across space and time, across all your lifetimes. And that's what I felt like I was going through. Like, you know, that Jon was experiencing the journey of self-love that this, I describe it maybe as a dark galactic elf would be the good, like one way of naming them that I'd experienced. So that's a new understanding to me. Okay, we've got 10 minutes left, and I am 14 minutes early for my garage appointment. Pretty good, Jon. That's me. I'm always on time or early. Yeah, other client experiences I've seen, people running from other beings, hiding their superpowers in the void. You know, you'll never catch me here, which is true. Like, you know, I feel it's almost impossible to find beings wants to go to, or a fragment of a soul wants to leave. And for healing people, what I do is I go there to the infinite void with the client, if you couldn't already tell that, right? So I would say even just doing that has a very profound effect, right? Because you're literally doubling the population of that universe in the void. Just me being there has a big influence on the experience of the client. And when I get there, we do it's a very similar pattern to what happens in hell, except I'm less worried about time. Wow, it was a lot of hay bales. And what I do is, help my client face their fears, face their shadows, understand what work they need to do, begin to get them to start working on their self-love, and then eventually that light will appear of them, the light of their self-love. And it all, I feel what I'm really doing is helping accelerate it, because they've got a guiding hand, right? It's literally like having a spirit guide in that moment saying, you just need to work on your self-love. It's like, how do I do that? It's like, oh, you're gonna love it. So that we work on the self-love, and then we together, because I don't want to stay in the void, together we step into their light, and through the light step back through the door or portal through which we entered. And if it's still fragmented, I'll then Duddo's 3 miles. So we are quite close to the standing stones of Duddo. That would be good fun. I have been there in another video, if you're interested. Duddo 5 Stones, I think it's called, the video. There's a lot of, in this area, there's a lot of Neolithic art. Stone arts. What do you call it? Cup and spiral? Neolithic art. Whoa, they've got extra bumps to slow you down. And it just feels so powerful that we can then, if there is still a fragment, I then work on healing, so similar to soul retrievals from hell. I'll get the clients then begin working on facing that fragment. I bring in source love healing energy. We go through the Ho'oponopono prayer like pattern of I'm sorry, thank you, I love you, I forgive you, I release you, I learn the lessons I need to. And this, I think we're about to pass the place. I might walk along to it, depends how long it's going to take. I think, is it called the Thurslaw Estate? Is that what it's called? Oh no, it's not there. It must be further along. Because we're still 7 minutes away. So I was thinking 7 driving minutes. I was thinking, there's no way I'd walk out here. This might be like the far end of the estate. That would make more sense. So I do the healing and the merging of the soul fragments, and then come back out to the waiting room, or and close the door, close the portal, and bring clients. Do a scan, make sure they're feeling good, have a chat with them, have some water, move our bodies a bit, and ask for their spirit guide any further advice about any other lessons, any questions they have, and then that's it. Ooh, these roads look fun. Hidden dip. And that's it. So I don't want to run out of time and not close down a safe space. So I'm going to close it down now, thanking our guides, our higher selves, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Source and Gaia, Sol and Luna, every soul that's participated in today's session. I'm closing down the shared space. You can remain in your individual protected space for as long as you choose. And I return the shared space to Source, so never return here again. Thank you. And so it is. And yeah, here we are in a beautiful little village in northeast England, having had a 53 minutes so far chat about the infinite void. I would say that, as you've heard from me in this video already, you don't need to be scared of the void, or scared that somehow, I've still never experienced some other being forcing a being to do it, or somehow, I've never experienced a soul being forced into a fragment, or forced into the infinite void. It's just to know that it exists, and although it's incredibly difficult to get out of, it reminds me of when Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, is it the Balrog? Is that what it's called? That he fights with it, and he goes down. He goes. What is it? Is he like Gandalf the Grey, and then comes out Gandalf the White? It's like that. And he was somewhat delayed. Is that what he says? Sorry, I'm late. I was somewhat delayed. So yeah, there's just this really powerful phenomena realm, universe, dimension called the void, and your soul may choose to take you there one day and to experience it. And as for any like practical other like happier uses for the void, well, I don't know. Maybe I will look into the upsides of this. I mean, you do grow a lot. I mean, look what happened to Gandalf, right? I'm not saying he went to the void, but it was you know, similar experiences to that as a result. And there's probably, I'm not really consciously aware of this, but there probably are some movies, books, you know, sci-fi. Maybe it showed up in some Star Trek's episode I've never seen or don't remember about the void. But yeah, if you've had any experiences of the infinite void, if you feel you have a fragment there, please do get in touch. Feel free to book me in for a session for negative entity removal and soul retrieval service. It's just down the bottom of the list of services I offer on my bookings page. And yeah, I hope that this video finds you well. It's an honor to support you on your journey at this time, and I'm looking forward to this adventure. And it's so typical it's raining, but I must admit, so I'll be walking around Coldstream for a little while. It's so funny that of course it's raining, right? But now I have a waterproof camera, not the one I'm using right now. That one can stay in the motorhome. Now I have a waterproof camera. All I do is make sure I bring supplies, and I've got like an extra layer of clothes on. I'm like, you'll be fine, John. Just do a bit of exploring. It's better than being at home day after day, week after week, as most of my work is from home. So there we go. We're just about to enter. Here we go, 2 minutes. Isn't it funny how I just kind of ran out of a streaming train of thought, and now we're at Coldstream. It has a country park, some viewpoint, and a museum. I don't think there's a lot to Coldstream. I do remember it being really quite a beautiful place. And the river, it's on the River Tweed, so that's a beautiful old bridge we're going across here. Wow. This must be a really old bridge. Wow, very cool. Whoa, we're back in Scotland. Scotland! It says, welcome to Scotland. It's so funny. It's not a hard and fast rule, right? But the River Tweed kind of delineates Scotland and England. Oh, that's so funny. And I'm 12 minutes early. Fantastic. Or is 12 minutes, for my garage appointment, is it 12 minutes on time? We can decide. Ooh. Has been a few months since I was last here. 20 miles an hour, almost at the garage. Because I think you could literally drive in and out of this place without kind of noticing. It's not that big. Here's the garage. Wonderful. Still not entirely sure how they're going to take a big motorhome like me. Mercedes-Benz. Dalgleish Garage. Oh my god. It looks quite small. Let's go in and... I don't know how I get in and out here. Would you go through there? Entrance. Service and parts. Maybe you do squeeze down here. Let's have a look. Looks a bit like a dead end. services, parks. Just gonna have a wee look up here. Oh, maybe not. This all looks like a bad dead end. Let's go up the very end and see. So I don't know if I can turn around to you. Okay, I'll stop you guys here. Thank you so much. Sending love.